emoluments and all. There's an act that determines what the president should be able to get. Okay? Allowances, salary, there's an act that determines that. If you're going to change anything, you have to change that particular act. But what is happening now, every time the president goes out, there was a circular that was written by secretary to the cabinet to say that he should be getting an allowance of $10,000 every time he steps out of the country. Now, that is not an allowance. They're calling it a grant, that he should be getting a grant of about $10,000. As regards local trips, if he decides to go to Ndola, he should get a grant of 100,000 kwacha. Now, where is that coming from? Because in the first place, that has to be budgeted for. That has to be placed in the budget to say this is what the president should be entitled to. Now, do you think a person or a body corporate such as ACC that reports to the president will be able to come to say, sir, these monies that you have been getting every time you go out of the country in the sum of $10,000 should not be, you should not have gotten this, therefore you've abused the authority of your office. Is that likely to happen? Who will have the guts to do that? Who will be able to say that? But if this person who is DG is able to go to the board and say, this is what we have found out, and this is exactly what is happening, it's easier to tell the board than to tell the president because he's the person that is involved. It's for that reason that corporate governance does not envisage a situation for purposes of the commission. Even the statute that creates the commission, the statute itself that creates the commission, did not envisage a situation where the commission will be reporting to a politician. They did not envisage that. But that is being placed there, and we should not be in a position to be allowing such things to happen. Such things are happening because corruption is being perpetuated at a different level altogether.
How different is the Anti-Corruption Commission from other boards where, you know, a minister, for example, appoints the board and the board appoints a director general? How is that different in this case?
Well, every commission is a creature of a particular statute.
Right.
And that statute will decide how it is to be created. Now, commissions are regulated by the Constitution. And commissions are created to be independent and self-determining when it comes to finances and administration, so that they are not under the influence of any person or authority. So any person or authority includes the president. So in its own structure, it creates a reporting system which only ends up to the board and nowhere else. From there, if a matter has to go to court, they make a decision that this matter goes to the DPP, who makes a decision to go to court based on the evidence that is presented. And it was not envisaged at any point that they would be reporting to the president, so that the president decides which matter goes to court or who has done what. It is not a matter, it is not like that. Now we have a president who will stand at a podium and say, yes, I have asked them to relook at this matter because we need to reopen this matter. That should not come from a president. Reopening of a matter is not a decision for the executive as the role of the president. That is not his role.
You're making reference to the JJ case?
Making reference to the JJ case. He can't stand on a podium and say that. He stood on the same podium and say, yes, in reference to Nakachinda, saying he will see, he will go to court. Nakachinda goes to court and he gets a conviction. What do you make of that? A president should be very sober and diligent in the manner that he handles public affairs, because his word is taken very seriously. And there are those that are weak at heart and may not be able to stand their ground. And in this particular case, there are many who have not been able to stand their ground because the president has been too exerting. He has to know what his boundaries are and allow institutions of governance to function independently, because these are the institutions that support our democracy. If we do not allow them to support our democracy in the manner that the Constitution put them up to support, then we will find that our democracy will continue shrinking. Now you have even this rampant issue of consent orders that are going on in court. Every lawyer worth his salt knows that if a person has been released on a nolle, they cannot go and sue for malicious prosecution. Now what do we have? We have a situation where people have been compensated merely for taking a matter to say, I was maliciously prosecuted, a nolle was entered, and the state chambers, what do? They get into a consent, say, okay, yes, indeed you were maliciously prosecuted, and you are entitled to this much. If I was judge, I would not sign that consent order. And I think, in my view, that a judge should be able to satisfy himself that if these people are saying that this is the compensation for malicious damage, for malicious prosecution, as it were, it should follow that the person should show that he was prosecuted and that he was acquitted. But these people have not even shown an acquittal. You have gone ahead to compensate them. In my view, that is misconduct. That is unprofessional. On the part of the Attorney General, that is unprofessional. It's misconduct. On the part of the judge, I think that is something that if I had to complain to the Judicial Complaints Commission, if at all we had an independent Judicial Complaints Commission that I had faith in, I would probably take up the matter and say this is incompetence, because you should have known, or you should have warned yourself, that the moment you put a signature there, that becomes a judgment of the court. And a judgment of the court cannot sanction an illegality. An illegality cannot be aided by the court. The necessary ingredients have not been met, and therefore this person is not entitled to any compensation. That is a firm view that I hold over those matters.
It's interesting how you still don't have confidence in the Judicial Complaints Commission. I'm surprised.
I do not have confidence in the Judicial Complaints Commission because of the way they've handled the matters that have related to the few judges that have been hounded out, including the matter that related to the DPP that was hounded out. I have lost confidence in the manner that they have approached the issues. None of them was given what I may term a fair hearing. None of them would I say that the evidence was fairly determined. You can't do that. You can't do that. I will give you a typical example.
But how does the Judicial Complaints Commission act on some of these things if they are not brought to their attention, if you can't complain?
The reason is they will pander to the dictates of the person who appointed them. And it has been clear in the manner that they've handled the issues lately. The typical example that I have is that of Judge Joshua Banda. Now, that's a very interesting case. See, if you work for 5FM, okay, and you have, and perhaps 5FM, let me contextualize it this way. You get a job at 5FM. It means that if you are working, say, for ShopRite, you will stop working for ShopRite and come and work for 5FM. Now a person comes and complains to management at 5FM to say, whilst you were at ShopRite, you did this, this, and that. Then management here sits and says, you are here, and then you did this, this, and that previously. Therefore, we are relieving you of your duties. Now, to bring it home, Judge Joshua Banda was accused of some issues when he was still a magistrate. Now, the transition from being a magistrate to being a judge is that the moment you're appointed as a judge, you're a judicial officer. The moment you're appointed as a judge, that contract is terminated. You are no longer a magistrate.
Yeah.
So once that contract is terminated, you take on this new role. You become a judge with letters patent. That means you have to be disciplined based on what you do as a judge. Now, before he became judge, there was that scrutiny by the National Assembly who says, we have no issues with this person. We had ACC come and say, no, we have no issues with this person. We had DC come, we have no issues with this person. We had LAS come and say, we have no issues with this person. As a matter of fact, every person is invited to come and say, if at all they have issues with the appointment of this person. So if at all there were such issues, those issues should have been dealt with at the point of appointment, not at the point when he is already judge and say, we're going to remove you based on what you did before you became judge. It just doesn't make any sense. It defies all logic. Can you have confidence in such a system? I don't. I don't know about you, but I don't. I wouldn't even have the energy to have confidence in such a rigged system that is only intended to get rid of those that are seemingly not singing from the same hymn book as the person that is heading the executive.
Now, I'll make reference, where need be, I'll keep going back to some of the discussions we've had. Let's go to the eligibility case. There's a lot of talk around the fact that only 7 judges adjudicated on the case, but now it's going to be a full bench of 13 judges, and people...
It's 11.
It's 11. And now people have a feeling saying that anything is possible. Possible in the sense that it can work against the former head of state.
See, the issue is you are asking me to come up with a conclusion as to what the conclusion of the court
Does the
is.
number of judges matter, determine how the case...
For me, I would rather not concentrate on the number of judges,
right,
but concentrate on the legal arguments that are involved. See,
that's what matters.
Yes. Prior to all these things, there has been determination and the law has been ascertained 4 times. It is not the number of judges that should change the law. It is the principle that has been laid that matters should be dealt with finality, that the court should have to deal with and consider the arguments that have been brought in, whether there's anything new that is capable of upsetting the tables. In my view, and what we have gone to argue in court, is that you can't do this. Now we have the full bench of 11 judges that are not there. We are not worried as to whether they're 11, 20, 40, 50. We are grounded in the fact that we are taking an argument of the law before them. Our colleagues are equally confident that they're taking an argument of the law before them. But obviously, when they're going to decide, it is who are the majority and who has put up a good case to persuade them to change their earlier decision. We are arguing that you can't and should not change your decision. The other party is arguing to say that you should change your decision. So we will see what the court will decide.
What is your view on the fact that the Solicitor General is under investigation but still holding on to office?
Morality would place it upon the system itself for him to be able to make the correct decision, because serious accusations have been raised. And these have not been raised by any other person on the street. They have been raised by a member of the board. And well, the Solicitor General has decided to sue and saying, all this is not true. I have been defamed. Now it will be for
but also this is in confirmation by the commission that they are actually investigating the Solicitor General.
Yeah, well, that aside, but let me deal with this.
Yeah.
And then Dr. O'Brien Kaba, who has access to certain information, has told us that this is what is happening at Anti-Corruption Commission. We have also gotten to learn that the Solicitor General was called at the Commission and warned and cautioned that he was being investigated as regards a particular matter where certain allegations have been raised against him. So those issues, the complaint was to the effect that this DG is not doing anything even as regards all these things that are happening. Now, if an issue relates to an office, it is only prudent that to facilitate investigations in that matter. Whether the thing was done or not, that the person paves way so that there is independence and no exertion of influence on the persons that are investigating the matter. Now, the reason you would go to that extent is because this whole thing, this whole mess has been created by the president. The president is supervising the minister. The president is supervising the DG, who is supposed to be investigating this matter, and the board feels they're outside. There's nothing they can do. They have just been reduced to a talk show or just been put in the terraces to watch what is happening. But we have noble men and women who will be able to say, listen, we can't be relegated to this. This is not our job. Hence the complaints by Dr. Kaba. Any person who has been given a task to do and is being hindered to do that particular task by means that are not lawful should be able to complain. And we call those people whistleblowers.
The Patriotic Front now has 3 presidents, allegedly, right? Meaning it's divided into 3 factions. What is really the status quo of the Patriotic Front, legally, politically included?
The political party called Patriotic Front Party does not have 3 presidents. We have 2 other people that are saying they are presidents of the party, Patriotic Front Party. But we only have 1 president, and that president is President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. He is the president of the party. We will not play semantics in dealing with this issue. There is no person that does not know how the other 2 got to call themselves presidents, where there is no person who can argue as to the legitimacy or illegitimacy of the other 2 in the manner in which they ascended or they purport to have ascended to those particular positions.
How do you then...
That is known. The issue that we'll be dealing with here is, why is the UPND government so keen on killing the Patriotic Front Party? Why are they so keen in ensuring that the Patriotic Front Party does not take part in by-elections? Why are they so keen to blame the political party for all their failures which they have had in this?
No, but the Patriotic Front is participating in the by-elections. What is interesting, though, is, and I would want your say on this, is that the Patriotic Front is participating in the by-elections, except that the nomination forms are not signed by Honorable Nakachinda, who you are saying is the Secretary General.
The moment you put that qualification, then you are saying that the Patriotic Front Party is not participating. Now, the issue is, and the reason I've been saying that this interference in the happenings in political parties is a machination of the executive. Since when did the Electoral Commission of Zambia start deciding who should be signing an adoption certificate? Who told them to get involved in the internal affairs of political parties? Instead, there's a move by the executive to usher into a position that they say, this is the person we're going to recognize. They choose who they are going to recognize and tell, this is it, the ones to recognize are these people. Let the president and the secretary general be the ones to sign. Since when did that happen? Over and above that, for even a ward election, where from time immemorial, it has been a ward chairman granting an adoption certificate to persons that are eligible to run on the party. Now you're saying we want the president and the secretary general because they had worked so hard in the middle of the night. The IG on Independence Day at night was in the office clearing fingerprints. That has never happened anywhere on a public holiday. What was so much in a hurry as regards that issue that the IG had to come from home to go and sign that I have cleared these fingerprints? This is before the local authority had cleared the persons that were involved. Before the office holders that previously held that offices were called to confirm whether indeed they had relinquished their positions. There was no confirmation whatsoever. But the state, in its usual manner of trying to kill the very soul of our nation, democracy, went ahead and did what they did. That should not be tolerated in a democracy. And one day, someone will have to pay for this. What is the fate of the Registrar of Societies? She's at home now. She's at home because she refused to do the wrong thing. She refused to accept the documents that were brought before her. She says, I have the constitution of the party before me. Their constitution tells us how they are supposed to hold a convention. I do not think they have complied. What did the permanent secretary do? The permanent secretary charges her for having given a document, which she did legally, by the way. He charges her, hands her over to PSMD, that is to say, I don't need to work with this person anymore. All because she made the right decision. If she had made a wrong decision by now, she could have been fired. But perhaps they've not been able to have the courage to move to that extent because they know they're dealing with an innocent person who was trying to follow procedure and do the right thing. But then they want to replace people who are genuine with rogue replacements who would do what they dictate they should do. There are over 400 people that have been surrendered to PSMD. People that are just sitting at home, getting paid for doing nothing. Worse, replacements have been put in those particular positions, getting paid. So you're paying two people for one position, and you're saying the country has no money. And you're saying the previous government was reckless in the manner that they handled issues. When sheer recklessness is being shown now for purposes of perpetuating their stay in power, they are putting their own people in there. There have been complaints of nepotism that have not been dealt with. There have been complaints of tribalism that have not been dealt with. There have been complaints of corruption that have been hidden or thrown under the carpet. There have been all sorts of complaints of ineptitude, misappropriation of funds. All manner of ills are going on, and everybody is just watching. All we are doing now is listening to the lies and saying, what is the next lie that will be told by this government? We continue hearing the lies.
This is the Thursday edition of The Burning Issue here on the Happy World of 5 FM radio. Our guest is Lusaka lawyer Makebi Zulu, and we've discussed quite a number of issues. We will now be taking phone calls. you can call us on 0955 221515. And remember, you can also text us your message via SMS or indeed WhatsApp on 0761 912493. That's 0761 912493. That is for your SMSs and WhatsApp messages. So we'll take our first caller. Good morning. Dauka Mwakabwanje. Tizimira nkoni radio Elvis. Right. Yes, please.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very well. The PF is still intact. We, the supporters of the PF, are still on the ground. The support of the PF has not waned. The support of the PF has not dwindled. In fact, it has increased from the 1.8 million. Now it is going towards 2.8 million, surpassing the UPND. The views of the UPND today have made the people of Zambia change their mind and think that the PF today is a party which was doing well more than the UPND. The sufferings which we are going through are unprecedented. We have never seen sufferings like this. Coming to the judicial, I don't think they are doing any good job this time. Because whenever a case goes to the court involving PF members, PF MPs, PF top officials, we all know the results. Zambians know the results. And that cannot be disputed. If you win a case this time, you are very lucky. The parliament also, we have even stopped working parliament because what is happening there is not what we Zambians expected. Our MPs, who we supported, who we chose in our constituencies today, cannot express themselves in the parliament. It's either their debate is curtailed or punished. I was watching yesterday when Mr. Mtoto Kafwaya was suspended for 7 days for raising a point of order. Where are we going as a country? But that is very hard to
Yeah.
say that the party which was talking about the democracy and holding the rule of law today is a party which is breaking the rule of law, which is not upholding the democracy. This government has inflicted more pain on the people of Zambia. And you look at what the corruption.
Elvis, unfortunately, you only had a minute to yourself, Elvis. We need. Thank you, Elvis. Let's take some more on 0955 221515, and let's see if we can take this one. Good morning. Now, kama wakabwanje. Oswald, please go ahead.
Nakabwino kaya mwakabwanje mwe.
Thank you very much for that, Oswald. Thanks for coming. Let's see if we can squeeze in another one. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you. Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Kashmir.
Your name?
This is Mr. Kaonga.
Mr. Kaonga.
Yes.
Mr. Kaonga, please go ahead.
The country is Makebi Zulu concerned.
Yes.
Okay. To start with, I would declare that UPND,
Okay.
we are still behind the party. The PF should not behave as if they are the only Zambians. We are all Zambians. We are all Zambians at same level. under the same constitution. So your disorganization in the PF should not be a blame to the PF, to the UPND. You people are failing to organize yourselves. The problem with you, the PF, is that everyone wants to become a president. So far, we have got 3 presidents. We have got the Honorable Mao Samba, calling himself president for the PF. We have Honorable Charinga now, who is also calling himself PF. We have got the Edgar Barungu as well, the former president, our president. He is also the PF president. How can you run a political party like that? And let me tell you, if there is something that excites us as UPND, is the disorganization that is going on in your political party. Because you are a threat, number one, we agree you are a threat, but if you are disorganized, the way it is now, suffice to say, we are heading for better at UPND in 2026. Go on, be disorganized, we are laughing at you. In fact, I left down. Those members of parliament, those that are giving pressure to the speaker. I don't know whether it's because of one agenda. I don't know why some members of parliament don't want to adhere to the rules of that house. That house now, people are behaving as if, I don't know, even the marketplace is ordered. There is no order in that parliament. The reason is simple. PF is fighting the UPNB on nothing, over nothing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kaonga. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've got a, maybe let me give you just one message. I know it's, this one is coming from Kabwe, but it says, good morning, Mr. Zach and the panelists. Mine is a humble advice to the powers that be it from the executive, judiciary, or the legislature, to execute their duties in accordance with the provisions of the law. And above all, as they execute their duties, let them to do it unto the glory of God and not man. Let us remember that one day we will be answerable to God for all our actions. For PF, put your house in order and reunite. This is the only way you can fight the injustice successfully. It's coming from Nicholas Kapila in Kabwe.
All right. Now, the sentiments of Nicholas Kapila are very valid. And indeed, as a party, the Patriotic Front Party, we need to be organized. We need to inspire hope in the people. We need to do all those things that everyone is saying we need to do. And we are working towards that. Because if you see the genesis of all these problems, this is not an issue of the party. It is an issue that is coming from outside the party, trying to influence and endanger the unity of the party. But at the core of it, the Patriotic Front Party is one, and like Elvis said, the ground as regards the Patriotic Front Party is still we still have that support. But the concern for the UPND and Mr. Kaonga should not be what he perceives as the disunity in the Patriotic Front Party, because the Patriotic Front Party will keep moving, and you can think it's a broken bus, but it's moving, and you may not know how far it will go. What Mr. Kaonga should be thinking of, he should not be depending on the perceived weakness of the Patriotic Front Party for the UPND to continue staying in government. What they should be looking at is, what is the cost of living today? There's high cost of living. As Mr. Kaonga was calling me, I'm sure there's no power at his place. There's load shedding at his place. He's probably thinking of the next place where he's going to charge his phone. He should be thinking about that. As he is talking about that, he should be thinking of what the fuel prices are. He should be thinking of what the milling prices are. These are the issues that should preoccupy the UPND government. But instead, the UPND government is preoccupied with obliterating the Patriotic Front Party. They know that with a robust opposition, they will not make it in 2026 because of these ills. So they have decided as a formula not to work on the high cost of living, not to work on the high cost of fuel, not to work on the high cost of minimum, but simply to kill the opposition so that they can perpetuate their stay in power. That is a very bad strategy, because what the people want out there is not to hear about you talking about the PF. What they want to hear is what you promised them. You said there would be no load shedding. You said because of the leadership that you had, there would be power in Zambia. You gave an example of Dubai and said not a drop of rain falls in Dubai, but yet they have electricity and they have no load shedding. What is it that you copied from Dubai, which you were to implement and have failed to implement in Zambia? Tell us why you have failed to implement. When they came in, they found that PF had built infrastructure around power generation. And what did they do? They said, no, because of the leadership that we have stopped, there's no load shedding. Who is being load shedded here? You never explained to the people what exactly you did. You said it was about leadership, and we said, no. Beyond the issue of leadership, it is what those leaders do. And what President Edgar Chagwa Lungu did was he made sure that Kafue Gorge was built. He made sure that Lusaka was built. He made sure that Teji was built, bringing all this to contribute to the national grid so that there's sufficient power to run the country. Now, what do we have? We have a government that does not have the interest of the people at heart. You have a member of parliament, the Minister of Energy, Kapala, going in the National Assembly and saying that we are only exporting about 195 megawatts of energy. The very next week, ZESCO comes and says, no, we are exporting 245 megawatts of energy. What were they saying last week? We have recorded the 261 megawatts of energy that we're exporting. It has been a lie after lie. If that 261 megawatts were used locally, wouldn't it stop this issue of load shedding, or at best minimize it? Of course it would. We have all these issues that need to be worked on. We had the issue of meal prices. When they came in, there was 1.5 million metric tons of maize. And what did they do? They sold and said, we have enough. In fact, go ahead and sell. That's what they said. And this time around, they're saying, we are declaring a disaster. The disaster that should be declared is a leadership disaster, because in the time when we had plenty and stored for the time when there would be few, the plenty that you stored, you sold and remained with nothing, escalating the high cost of living. As regards power, you may be interested to note that during the PF, about 100 students were sent to Russia to learn nuclear energy, and the nuclear research center was set up here in Zambia for purposes of having alternative sources of energy. You know we have uranium in this country. We know uranium passes through this country, going to other countries. Why can't we exploit the energy that we can get from uranium so that we can do this? What did the UPN do when they did that? They just shut down the whole program. The 100 graduates that came in from Russia, where are they now? They have been spread out everywhere, away from this country, trying to look for places where they could work. When we were training these people, we said, let us look beyond what we already have. We have this real issue of climate change. But if we are going to go to nuclear energy and be able to provide power, we shall have more than sufficient power and be able to export. And because we identified that energy itself can be our major export as a country, and we invested into that. And it is for that reason that we keep saying that we are able to show you where we took the money, the infrastructure that was built as regards the borrowings. UPND is not able to do that. Instead, what reigns amongst them is serious confusion. We see the Vice President saying, no, we never exported any maize to Tanzania. Then the Minister of Finance says, yes, we sold to Tanzania. you have all this inconsistency going on in the government. So we have a disaster of leadership. We have a crisis of leadership in this government, and we need to work on that. Oswald was asking as regards Honorable Nixon Chilangwa. I'm glad to tell you that we have appealed the conviction of Honorable Nixon Chilangwa because we know that this appeal has prospects of success. Prospects of success because the offense that is alleged to have committed, you can't commit it remotely. You can't commit it when you are not on the scene. And evidence was brought. Over 90 witnesses were called who were able to confirm and said, this person that you are accusing of having committed this offense was not even at the scene. But you can't even come to a conclusion to say, because you are a member of parliament in this particular area, therefore you'll be held vicariously responsible for the acts of other persons. It can't be the law when it comes to criminal law. You should be held responsible for acts that you committed personally. Chitotela should be held culpable for acts that he committed personally, not by persons that may be known to him or unknown to him, but because he was a member of parliament or a candidate, therefore he should be responsible for whatever happened. You don't do that when it comes to criminal matters.
What happens to the seat should the appeal be successful?
That's exactly the point, and that's the reason Nelly Muti should not have been mischievous in the manner that she handled this matter. And that is the reason that Mtoto Kafwaya rose and said, listen, it appears that this whole thing was choreographed, because this person just stood, raises a point of order, and there you are reading a detailed ruling, a properly or a seemingly researched ruling. You addressed your mind to certain issues and you came up with a ruling already ready. You can't do that. What has happened to Mtoto Kafwaya? He's been chased. He's been suspended for 7 days. Binwo stands and says, what is going on here? What does the speaker say? Maybe you should go to law school. You can't.
What should have been the period of appeal?
Well, the period of appeal in criminal
matters, yes.
in criminal matters is 30 days in which to appeal.
So that's how long the speaker should have waited.
Perhaps the speaker should have waited, but even without
in case he doesn't appeal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. In case he doesn't appeal, then that would be an okay point to take up that. But in this particular case, not only is he within that period of appeal, he has since filed an appeal and applied for bail pending appeal. The speaker should have just been patient, just a little patient. Then she wouldn't be getting these criticisms that she's getting.
Well, let's take some more calls on 0955-221515. That's the number you're calling us on. Good morning. Tauka mauka bwanje. Ati bandani mutumira kuti. Va munyumbwe. Okay, pitirizani nkanya.
Nauka na akamwaka bwanje. Koma sindine honorable.
Yana maoni yangu nimera ki va president va PF ni va mawa sampa. Saka kwenye makamba kuti va president ni va edika lungu. Manje ni va edika lungu bwanji chifukwa. Va edika lungu futi ngambira kuti bafuna kubaika kuokwa. Era kulika vinakafulo kamene bali nako kuokwa koja. Nani hapa kabwanji batanga kuviri kukwana na kupie. Nini ilo makamba kuti bayo pere mpi bali ko munkani amene muvuta na mupie. Manje bayo pere tiba na manje nzinga wedi yapo kwa na ka bwanji kuti bayo pere tiba ngene muyi mwe. then you must have to want to Muslim. My mother get a blind putting my banged up party. William.
Ziko Mara Munyumbi. We'll take some more on 0955-221515. This is the burning issue. Our guest is Lusaka lawyer Makebi Zulu here on the burning issue, Thursday edition on the Happy Word of 5 FM radio. Remember, we are also live on our partner radio station, Spice FM in Kabwe and Central Province on 91.1. We are also live on Muchinga Radio in Muchinga Province on 88.1. Not forgetting live on iWave FM radio on the Copper Belt, covering the entire Copper Belt on 90.1, and also live on Tuta FM in Luapula Province on 90.7. Well, we lost that one, but we'll take another one. Let's try this. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Good morning. How are you, Mr. Zap?
I'm well, thank you.
I'm fine.
Your name and where you calling us from?
My name is Collins.
Collins.
Yes, I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Great.
Good start of the morning.
It's not even state council.
It's just council. It's just council.
It's not even state council.
We have a problem with the honorable Makebi Zulu. Makebi Zulu,
When he was minister of Eastern Province, these there were they were powerful, they were powerful lawyers with the late Gurube. But this time around, they are playing like double standards. Here they play like you, they are politicians. Here they play like you, they are lawyers. So now they are confusing us who are listening to them. Because when you are a lawyer, you must read a law the way it is, without mixing its point. Because in law, you demand always the evidence to back your accusation. When you say you can do, they are the one who are disturbing the PF. Point one person or point one minister or president of UKND who was fired or who was expelled your MP. Point one. That is when you go into the court, they will tell you, can you point one of the UKND member who was expelled your MP? None of them. Two, you are there, lying as a lawyer. You are there lying as a lawyer. You say, no, you can be a speaker of National Assembly. She lost to declare the seat vacant of China. It is not the speaker of National Assembly. It is the law what you say. Remember what you did the time of campaign. You as the lawyer, you did not stop Makebi. You declared it vacant. Where the case was in court. You were there, lawyers, ministers. You put in the tails Makebi to say, as the law says, you are not a judge to declare the seat vacant. What did you do? You were enjoying, laughing, and enjoying the government money. What you saw is what you are going to read. Remember that you disturbed MMD. And you get the Namana, the Dorateria, you get this Vincent because of disturbing MMD under government. You endorse everything that. So what you did by that time, Mr. Makebi, you must understand. This is what is for you. Last but not the least, to assure you, this personally, I want the PF to flash out the PF does not mean that there is no people in this country